Greetings Exiles, BullShifter here, and today I just wanted to briefly go over the different loot filters in the game for the PlayStation 4 version of Path of Exile. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with loot filters, the reason why that they're important is if you don't have a loot filter, you're essentially going to see basically every single item that drops in the game dropping on the ground. So loot filters can actually be helpful for basically filtering out some of the loot that you essentially don't need. So let's go down and we'll go ahead and switch it to soft to start off with. Now soft is not really going to filter out too many items in the game. Just some of, as you can see, just the normal white items. If we go forward and actually get rid of some mobs here, we'll get kind of a better idea of the different things that get looted out or filtered out here. So as you can see, just kind of some normal items. A few magic items will also be filtered out. So as you can see, we'll still have normal flasks that'll drop. Now there are multiple different loot filters throughout the game that you can apply. And once we get a decent little loot drop here, we'll go ahead and actually apply those filters. Something to keep in mind though, even if the loot filter that you have on is potentially hiding some of the items that you do want to see, you can always click your left stick inward and that'll allow you to see all the different items that are being dropped on the ground. So after we go ahead and finish this breach, that'll likely be a good opportunity for us to go ahead and kind of explore the different things we can filter in and out of the different loot filters. As you can see, we have a decent amount of loot dropping at this point, so this will probably be a really good opportunity for us to kind of, show the different things that the loot filters can essentially hide for you as you progress later on in the game. Now, your loot filtering will be dependent on where you are in the game, or at least what you'll want to apply for your loot filter. Obviously, as you start off the game, you're going to kind of want a lower loot filter. So something along the lines of default or, even soft necessarily won't be too bad. So right now, as you can see, we're seeing all the divination cards, blue jewelry, we're seeing gems, we're seeing all the flasks, we saw some rare items up there. Let's go ahead and click the left stick in just to see what actually is hidden from the soft. So it's basically, just the white items, some of the blue items. If you leave the item filter off, obviously you're going to go ahead and you're going to see all of these items. And as you can kind of tell, that's going to be a little overwhelming. And it's also going to hamper your game performance for all of those things to pop up. Under soft, you can see, we have two rare items up here. Two rare items. And they both show. So let's go ahead and up the loot filter a little bit here. So we'll switch it to regular. Now regular, as you can see, we're still seeing all of our rares. If we come down here, still seeing a majority of the same items that we saw before. So basically between soft and regular, we're not really going to see too much of a difference between the two. They're relatively similar. If we go up to semi-strict, it'll actually start hiding some of the rare items. So let's go up here and see if it hid either of the two that we had up here. So it actually hid both of them. And the reason for that likely being is the fact that it just doesn't deem them as very solid rare items. This is based off of NeverSync's loot filter, which will automatically filter out certain items that the item filter itself deems as just not being a very good item. Again, if you want to judge that for yourself, you can always click that left stick in and kind of see for yourself. Now, between semi-strict and strict, it's actually going to hide even more rares, and strict should actually hide our scrolls as well. So if you do have a decent amount of portal scrolls and scrolls of wisdom, and you just don't want to see those on your screen anymore, strict is probably going to be a better option for you. As you can see, we've got a little less loot now. If you click the left stick in, it will still have your scrolls as larger items, just in case that is something that you do want to pick up. So that's one of the bigger differences between semi-strict and strict. It's just going to hide a few more of those useless rares that you're likely not going to use for your actual build itself, and it's going to hide your scrolls. Now, something to keep in mind with that, though, if you are trying to do the Chaos recipe or the Regal recipe, those might not necessarily be the best filters for you, just because of the fact that as you're running through the game, it is going to hide a decent amount of rares. So just keep that in mind. If you are trying to do the Chaos or Regal recipe, you may want to go with semi-strict over strict, simply because you're going to see more of the rare items that drop. So very strict is going to hide a good majority of all the rares, all the scrolls, a lot of augments. It's going to hide your armor's scraps, so if you don't have a lot of armor scrap to upgrade your armor in your inventory, you may not want to use this either. It's essentially for farming through the game a bit faster. You're still going to see a majority of your divination cards. Obviously, all of our splinters, this 6-socket item is still going to pop up. However, I mean, you are going to, if you're trying to grind out for different rare items, for those recipes I had mentioned, or if you want to still see chromatic items so that you can trade those items in for chromatic orbs, very strict isn't necessarily going to be, the loot filter that you're going to want. Uber strict, it's going to hide all of your low-level currencies. So if you're only looking for quality items, that's not necessarily a bad route to go. However, if you're not looking to just zip through the game and you do still want to grab those, low-level currencies, if you still want to see the gems popping up on your screen, then you're going to want to go ahead and just work at a lower-level loot filter than that. Uber Plus is going to hide pretty much everything. So we've got one divination, loyalty and loyalty. So it's only going to show you the actual quality divination cards. We're still going to see our splinters, our higher level currency, and 6-link and 6-socket items. It's going to hide a majority of rare items. It's probably going to actually hide a few of your unique items as well if they're not deemed as solid unique items, which Uber Strict typically isn't going to do. Very strict isn't going to do that at all. You should see all of your uniques under very strict. On top of that, though, there actually are a few options that are slightly modified versions of these different strict filters, and they're called constrict. Basically, the big difference between constrictive filters and these other normal filters is the fact that you'll still get to see, for the most part, all of your currency, with a few exceptions. So if we ran constrictive 1, it's going to give us strict currency, but we're going to see all of our different currency, including our scrolls. So if you're looking to run through the game a little bit faster, but you are still trying to collect Scrolls of Wisdom, Portal Scrolls, you still want to see all the currency, I would strongly recommend using Constrict 1. That's probably the best filter in my opinion. Otherwise, I'll typically run somewhere between semi-strict and strict once I reach endgame, depending on what I'm looking like for scrolls. Constrict 2 is going to be the very strict filter, except it's going to show you all of your different currency, and you're also going to see your scrolls. Constrict 3 is going to be pretty much the same, except for the fact that it's now going to hide your scrolls, your different armorers, upgrade pieces, and any divination cards that are deemed by the filter to essentially just not be that good. Constrict 4, that's essentially going to be the same as Uber Strict, and it's not going to show you, your scrolls, your armorers, currency, and your bad divination cards. Constrict 5 is, the same as Uber Plus. Strict, you're going to see all your currency, again, except for scrolls, your armor, scrap, and the different divination cards. So as I had mentioned, personally, I like to run Constrict 1. That way, I still get to see, a majority of the quality items. I still get to see, my different scrolls, so that way I can continue to stack those up and continue to, grab all of my different divination cards and my low-level currency. I just like the option of still getting to see my currency. And if I still want to run my Regal and my Chaos Orb recipes, I can always click the left stick in to see my rares. You know, the yellow, it pops quite a bit. The boxes are slightly bigger and the writing is slightly bigger than what the normals and the magic items are. So you can still pick up your rare items that you need for your recipes. You're just not going to have your screen cluttered with them. So hopefully this helps you out in regards to, you know, the different filters in the game. I know that was a little long-winded, but, you know, long story short, essentially, like I had mentioned, I would either run semi-strict if you do want to see more of those rare items on your actual screen without having to press the left stick in, or just use constrict 1 if you don't mind pressing that stick in to gather for your recipes and just see a lot less clutter on the ground. So hopefully you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I will be streaming later on tonight, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on to catch me when I am online. And until next time, may the RNG be with you. Always.